The giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai is the basis of Judaism. But how do we know for sure that it really happened? Well, first of all, 100% certainty does not exist in this world. Are you 100% convinced that the building you are sitting in will not collapse while you are watching my video? You personally did not inspect the structure, and you cannot be certain of anything. But you don't seem to be panicking. I don't think you're wearing a helmet. Why? Because you assume that your roof most likely will not collapse. And this is enough for you not to be afraid. Our world has many different levels of proof. For example, in American legal system, in order to convict a person in a criminal court, the jury must be sure of his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That is not 100%, but only beyond a reasonable doubt. But in civil court, the guilt is established by the preponderance of evidence, which means that the chances of this person being guilty have to be more than 50%. And this is considered to be a sufficient proof. Let's say there was a car crash. To establish who is at fault, police is looking for witnesses. If they find one eyewitness, it is better than nothing, but he can make a mistake. He can lie because he doesn't like one of the people involved, or he can be bribed. He may have hallucinations. If you find two witnesses, it is already better. Two people are highly unlikely to have the same hallucinations, but two people may still not like one of the people and lie against him. It is also possible that two people will make the same mistake, although it's highly unlikely. The more witnesses you have, the stronger their testimony is. Although again, 100% confidence does not exist, we can try to get as close to it as we can. There are religions that have millions of followers today. But how many people did they start with? Every one of them relies on one witness who said that God spoke to him. Nobody else saw it. Judaism is the only religion that began with an event that had 600,000 witnesses. The giving of the Torah. How many other historical events can you name that had hundreds of thousands of eyewitnesses? You can say, well, all this is just written in the Torah, but if I don't believe the Torah, I don't believe it. Fair enough. But let's think, how can we today end up with a book that says that God gave this book to the entire nation and every single Jew who was alive then saw it? Imagine, you are reading in a newspaper that a UFO landed in your city last night and every resident of the city, without one exception, saw it. But you are a resident of the city and you did not see it. Will you believe everything else that says in this newspaper? You will probably also ask your neighbor, and when you'll find out that he also hasn't seen it, you will probably stop reading this publication altogether. How did the Jews who read in the Torah that every single Jew saw how it was given by God believed the Torah if they did not see it themselves? The excuse many people resort to is, in those times people were primitive. They were believing anything. And why do you think that back then Jews were more stupid than you are? I understand that this argument massages your ego, but if you will try studying the Talmud or other parts of Torah, or even the writings of non-Jewish thinkers, I suppose their authors will not seem to you primitive. The second possible version of events that would allow us today end up with a Torah that says that it was given to the nation and every single Jew alive back then saw it, is this. If someone could come to the Jews in a later generation and convince them, every single one of them, that this book was given to their ancestors earlier, they just didn't know about it. But imagine, somebody comes to you and says that your great-grandfather was present at the divine revelation. Wouldn't you wonder why he forgot to tell you about it? Or why your entire family just forgot about it completely? Moreover, you will again come to your neighbor, whose ancestors also had to be there, and you'll find out that his family forgot about it too. And the second neighbor, and the third neighbor. Would you believe such Torah? If someone comes to the Jews and tries to convince them that his religion is true, he probably has to make it as believable as possible, and not to make statements that would put his entire book in question. The third and last possibility of how we can have a book that says that all the Jews saw how it was given by God is called a snowball theory. Jews could have been persuaded that their ancestors were all present when the Torah was given if they were first convinced to follow the laws of the Torah. Every nation has its own religion, and the Jews have their own laws as well. And then, gradually, the Jews would have to start being convinced that when these laws were given to them by God, all of their ancestors were witnessing it. They just forgot about this minor detail. But the problem with this version and this theory is that we don't have and haven't even heard about even one version of the Torah which does not say that it was given to the Jews in front of the whole nation. And also, if it was possible to convince people in divine revelation this way, I guarantee you that other religions would be all also trying to do the same, because every religion is trying to convince people that they are right. But not one religion in the world even tried to make this claim. Moreover, our tradition lists how the Torah was passed down from generation to generation, name by name. How would you possible make this up in the presence of the very families of each one of these people? How can we today have the Torah that says that all the Jews saw how it was given by God? If it is a made-up story, then the Jews could have been convinced of this only in one of the three ways mentioned above. And every single one of them is highly problematic. Can we be 100% sure that the Torah was given to us by God? 100% certainty does not exist in this world. But if you question this event, the Torah was truly given to us by God, then you need to be consistent and question all the historical events that we know from the world's history, because all of them were witnessed by much smaller numbers of people, most often just one or two. And the giving of the Torah by God was witnessed by hundreds of thousands of people, each one of whom passed it to their children, and they passed it to theirs, and so on. And this chain has not stopped, even today.